So it is 6 a.m. Listening to a little Frank Ocean for some inspiration this morning. We're going to be starting to shoot in about an hour, maybe half an hour, but we were supposed to be up an hour ago. And this is the set of 1,000 Miles. That's Shanazzle Dazzle, who was dazzling me this morning.
1,000 Miles is a story about two people that meet and fall in love, and this beautiful love story develops until one person is torn away from the other.
1,000 Miles is a story about reminiscing about love, a love in your life. I think it's something that we can all connect with.
Well, the video is a very authentic South African 50s love story. And it was important to always stay true to the authenticity of it and for it to not be contrived in any way.
The song it's quite soulful and it's got a lot of heart and personality in it. And I know when we first started planning it, we thought of using an old dusty road, something a little bit in the middle of nowhere to try and tell the story of feeling lost, feeling alone. And then as time went on, the story developed and it kept on changing, and it was this very organic, almost evolution or life that took place where it would constantly change from week to week to week, just trying to really find the best way to tell the story.
I co-wrote the song with Tammy Ingram, Ivan Georgiev, Robert and Marco Meister in Berlin, Germany. And the song is a very special song to me on my album. I think, you know, when you talk about love, it hits a soft spot.
The story to begin with was more of a Mad Men, more affluent couple story. And it's changed to eventually become a story between a young woman that comes from a middle-class black family in the townships to, you know, falling in love with a guy that's poor and he's a normal working man. So that to me it actually became very, very authentic in that way.
As our female lead, we have Lindiwe, who's really, when she performs, is going back to the locations of where this love story happened. As our male lead, we had DJ Sbu, or Sbusiso, who's an incredibly funny man. I remember telling him that all he has to do is just make Lindiwe laugh the entire time. And that's what he did. I think besides making her laugh, he made the rest of the crew laugh as well.
So we have some really cool cameos in the 1,000 Mile music video. We have DJ Sbu, who is a friend and mentor of mine. And it's really cool for him to be a part of the video because he was actually the very first person that I played the album, Kamikaze Art to. And when he heard the album, he heard 1,000 Miles and he said, I want to remix that song. And he remixed the song for his album, Sound Revival 2. And yeah, he did a really cool house mix. So it was cool to have him be my love interest in the video.
It's quite a simplistic story, but it's got a lot of emotion and passion in it. You can hear from the way in which Lindiwe sings it is that there's a lot of heart and emotion, and there's so much to it.
Director Roice Nel and I decided to create a story that was real, that was human. I think when you're talking about love, you can't really escape that fact. You have to kind of just strip everything away and just get to the core. The moment we shot there in the morning at like 5 o'clock in the morning, it became such a real experience immediately. And the music video shifted from shooting a music video to actually shooting, you know, just a real story about love.
Before we started shooting, is that one of the most important things about this project is that we had to find the perfect location. A location that really had a lot of life in it, had a lot of something that you don't often find in today. So in the early stages of it, there was a shot in a salt pan. And to find other locations seemed fairly easy, but to find the perfect salt pan or a beautiful salt pan turned out to be a bit of a struggle and a little bit difficult. I spent weeks and weeks researching and looking for a salt pan for this one shot to take place. And then I stumbled upon, somehow, a salt pan in Veldrift that was located on the farm Kasfontein. And after going there and having a look around, it actually seemed to be the perfect location for this entire story. It had everything that we needed. It had, you know, it had like a little school bare room that we used for the dance scene. It had a beautiful little kitchen where we did the start and where the bit of this love story progresses. We had a scene where there's a beautiful pier, and at sunset, it is probably one of the most incredible sights. It had this barn that wasn't looked after, and there was, you know, hay and spider webs and everything else. We only had one day to shoot this entire music video. Later in the afternoon, Lindiwe gave me a call and said that Sbusiso missed his flight, which threw quite a spanner in the works. So after Lindiwe, hair, makeup and styling arrived, Lindiwe and I sat down and we discussed how we're going to actually make everything fit now. What else could we shoot without him in it? We decided to go ahead with just shooting the majority of the singing parts, which comprise about 30% of the entire music video. As we went on to the last scene when we were singing, Sbusiso arrived, which was fantastic, and we did the whole bedroom scene waking up together. Our second scene of the day was a location outside, and it started raining on us, and instead of waiting for the rain to pass, we decided to actually incorporate the rain into it. It was so fine that you can barely really see it. The song itself talks about being pulled away from love, being almost forcefully removed from a loving situation. And that's where our father figure came in. Luthando, who is an absolutely incredible actor, really brought a sense of hatred to Sbusiso for taking his daughter away from him. And it was phenomenal. I think we got his entire performance in 2 takes. He was absolutely incredible to work with. Come back to the window. And then I remember sitting down as they were finishing up lighting, just chatting to him and asking him, you know, finding out just a little bit about his family. And, you know, if he had a daughter or he had a son, and he said that he had a son. And I remember telling him, pretend that your son is inside this building and you want to get him out. Bring through that emotion and anger. And he took what I said and really took it to the next level.
At the end of his performance, it was very funny. The entire crew put down everything they were doing and just gave him like a proper standing ovation.
Yes,
Come back to the window. After we cut from one of the takes, speaking to Sbusiso, and he's saying that he was petrified to come out of that house. All the emotion that you see is real, is that he was terrified of Luthando, and it was great to actually have real emotion and real fear coming out through that scene.
So I have a really big love for old Hollywood films. I love the characters, the styling, the lighting. I think there was such an effort put back then in telling a story. So I really wanted to bring that into my music video, and I chose Asanda Zizani to be the fashion stylist, and we both collaborated to create, I think, something that really was, for me, I'm a vintage lover, so it was a dream for me, getting authentic costumes from the 40s and the 50s and the 60s and kind of creating a wardrobe for each character. It was a lot of fun, and I mean, I used to be a fashion stylist on films, so it was kind of like going back in the old days, but kind of doing it for myself and the other actors, so it was a really cool collaboration.
So I was looking for specifically very 50s reminiscent pieces, a good range of dresses, and if it's a dress, it had to be the right shape and in the right print so that it doesn't go to 60s or to another era, and it had to stay sort of Sophia Town 50s era. In terms of the accessories, it was little bobby socks and flat shoes, clip-on earrings, and if it was a necklace, it had to be a faux version of a pearl necklace, just to keep things very true to the story and true to the era and true to the people that we are trying to illustrate in the story. It wasn't very easy to find the right shoes that are true to the era that actually would fit her. So it was a matter of finding shoes that were perfect for the story. It was getting the right, if it's an apron, it's finding the right one that's not going to drown her. She's quite petite and in size as well. But I think we actually sourced the right product that was perfect to tell the story. In terms of the men, Lindiwe was quite specific that she wanted to showcase that this is a working, normal guy. So things like overalls were used. And then we thought, this guy is obviously not from a rich family, so we had to repeat certain things like a vest to see it again in another scene, or a basic t-shirt, because he doesn't have a good range of a wardrobe for a guy in that era as well.
In this music video, Lindiwe and I decided to actually transform her look completely. Lindiwe is known for always being a little bit on the eccentric side, from her wardrobe to her hair. And this one, we decided to actually take all of that away, where it became a very real, very raw story, where she wasn't wearing these very big, elaborate wigs, or wearing these very avant-garde pieces, or very unique fashion pieces. We went straight down to the human element. It was all of her own hair that we had styled, and the makeup was very clean and neat and nude, so to speak. And the wardrobe was real.
One of the challenges that stood out for me on the day is when the dress ripped. One of the dresses that she wears, a green floral 50s dress, it ripped on set. So it was a matter of getting her back in the dress and stitching it up on her and just making it work. And she's such a professional that she understood the situation and just went with it. So it was a great experience to work with Lindiwe, because she's been a stylist before. She's worked on sets like these before. She knew what she wanted, and it was a matter of understanding the story clearly and seeing everything come together and source for the right product to tell the story. 10 a.m.
I was a bit nervous to see what her performance would be like. And from the first take up until the very end, she was absolutely incredible. I had goosebumps through the majority of the shoot. She could really see that pain and that emotion and that feeling of someone that you love so much really missing from your life. And it was really an incredible experience, because she had to go back into this place of discomfort, or this place of loss, and really having to draw on that.
For me, the journey of playing this character and going back to a situation in my life and to make it real for me, kind of reminiscing about something that happened to me, a love in my life, was a really, really, you kind of had to forget that everyone was around and really just get real with yourself. And it was funny, in the morning at 6 a.m., the kitchen scene, I swear I was like tearing up, and even tearing up now thinking about it. It was just such an honest moment, and from then on until we shot until the end of the night, it just became such a real and raw experience for me. So yeah, 1,000 Miles I think is it's a very real music video. It's a real story.
From all the struggles that we had, from the weather to Sbusiso arriving late, to dress being torn, to being stuck in the mud, to having power problems. What really held this production together was the cast and crew. And I really don't think that this project could have been done without them. I don't think this project could be done without their perseverance and commitment to this project.